was a human male who served as a commander in the forces of the First Order during the Cold War. He and Major Elric von Reg proposed to Captain Phasma that the First Order should collaborate with pirates, which led to a partnership with Kragan Gore and his pirate gang. The plan was for Kragan and his pirates to attack the Colossus enough so that Captain Emmanuel Doza would cede control of the vital fueling station to the First Order. After a failed attack by the pirates, Kragan reported to Phasma and Major von Reg, where Phasma stated her disappointment to Kragan and remarked that she was skeptical from the beginning of Pyre and von Reg's idea. Later, Pyre was sent to the Colossus along with several stormtroopers in search of two young fugitives, Kel and Isla, who had escaped the destruction of their village on the planet Tahar. He and his troops eventually cornered the two children in the engineering room, where Kel declared that he and his sister would rather die than be captured before apparently leaping to their deaths. Afterward, Pyre reported to Phasma that his mission was complete, as the children were no more. Unbeknownst to Pyre, Resistance Spike Azudakshno, his friend Niku Vozo, and the Chalade engineering staff had faked Kel and Isla's deaths. Pyre returned to the Colossus, where he met with Doza to discuss sanctions that would allow the First Order to garrison an occupational force on the station to protect them from the pirates. When asked how many troopers would be stationed, Pyre assured Doza that there would be enough to stave off any further threats and that his men were more than capable of eliminating them. Doza then inquired to how long the occupation would last, to which Pyre replied that it was difficult to map out a timeline, citing that pirates can be unpredictable. The meeting concluded when Doza said he would need time to review the sanctions before coming to a decision. Pyre advised him not to take long, for he was expecting an answer soon, then was escorted off the station. Pyre later sent First Order agent, Taraj Key, with a pair of stormtroopers to the Colossus to acquire a phase connector from the Office of Acquisitions while its owners, Orca and Flix, were absent. Since the phase connector was already pre-ordered for a mining colony off-world, Key resorted to stealing it. Key later reported to Pyre that his transport carrying the device was sabotaged and destroyed. Pyre stated that this turn of events was unfortunate and that Phasma would not be pleased. He then ordered Key to return at once. Pyre and Phasma later converse with Kragan Gore, having grown impatient that his raids had failed to drive Captain Doza into the First Order's arms. Gore demanded triple payment to compensate for his losses, threatening to back out of their deal. With a nod from Phasma, Pyre instructed Gore to kidnap Tora Doza to force her father to relinquish the station. After Gore's inside agent on the Colossus helped abduct young Tora, Pyre later sent von Reg to meet with Gore, under the guise of delivering payment when in truth it was to pull a double cross and fake a rescue. Pyre also instructed von Reg to give Gore his regards. The ruse successfully convinced Doza to allow the First Order to garrison stormtroopers on the Colossus, as well as earning goodwill among some of the platform residences. Pyre later communicated with Captain Doza, who complained that his stormtroopers were actively undermining his authority. The ex-Imperial administrator reminded that the First Order was to remain only until after the pirate threat had been dealt with. Pyre argued that the First Order was doing what was necessary to protect the Colossus and its residents and insisted that Doza needed their protection. Shortly afterward, Pyre himself arrived to meet with Captain Doza. Doza informed him that the pirate spy he was looking for had recently escaped and thus he believed there was no need to maintain so many stormtroopers on the Colossus. Pyre argued that someone on the platform aided in her escape and stated he would find them. Doza then stressed that he was still in command, to which Pyre was forced to agree. Pyre later inquired Doza as to why he left the Empire years ago. Doza insisted it was a personal choice and that Pyre wouldn't understand even if he explained why. Just then, Sergeant CS-812 and his squad entered Doza's office. Pyre requested Doza leave so he could speak with his troopers in private. As soon as Doza had left, Pyre informed that Phasma was sent a full garrison to the Colossus and instructed that sympathizers on the platform may remain while the dissidents shall be arrested or otherwise dealt with. Pyre then demanded their personal reports, and CS-812 volunteered CS-515, who summarized his patrol in an unprofessional manner. Having been earlier informed by CS-812 suspecting CS-515's conditioning to be erratic, Pyre ordered that the defective stormtrooper be brought to their transport for a full mental wipe and reprogramming. CS-515 soon escaped, in which CS-812 initiated a pursuit. CS-515 was eventually captured, though the First Order was unaware that Resistance spy Kazutoshino had replaced him earlier. Later, while the Colossus was hosting a race, Pyre communicated with Doza via hologram, insisting that the races held a security risk. When Doza defended that the benefits of positive morale outweighed the risk, Pyre asked if he knew how the pirates were able to infiltrate the Colossus, to which Doza reminded that so long as he was in charge, so do the races. Pyre then conceded, but promised the discussion was not over. Pyre later returned to the Colossus to meet with Doza, stating that he wanted to brief him on security matters and insisted he cancels all future races until further notice. Though Doza protested that this would jeopardize the station's livelihood and community, Pyre refuted that he couldn't risk an accident with undisciplined, non-military pilots. Doza was ultimately forced to concede to Pyre's demands, knowing that openly defying the First Order would put his constituents at risk. Pyre later led a group of stormtroopers to Jarek Yeager's repair station, where he found all of Team Fireball, save Kazutoshino. Once Shino and CB-23 entered the hangar, Pyre declared him and his friends under arrest. But Kaz and his friends succeed to escape to Pyre and his stormtroopers except Tamara Revora, who does not search to flee. Later, Pyre takes the control of the Colossus, arresting Captain Doza for insubordination and shoots his bodyguard droid 4DM-1N when she tries to help him.